Okay, I think I figured it out. All right. Hi, my name is Natalie, and the topic that I chose to talk about today is do violent video games make people themselves more violent? Um, why there's no clear answer? This question has been going on for multiple years, and scientists have tried to find a yes or no answer, but honestly, it is not clear yet. There have been studies done that have found that people do become more aggressive after playing violent video games rather than non-violent ones, but this might be because of things like how competitive or fast-paced the game may be. Also, there have been studies done um, that say that the way that we measure aggression is also the same way that we measure how competitive someone is. So it can make it unclear whether violent video games really cause aggression or more violence, or they are just making people more competitive. What can violent video games actually cause? One, increased levels of stress. When a child is playing violent video games, the the volume, the high stakes of the game, as well as the amount of violent images they are taking in on a daily basis, can cause their stress levels to rise immensely. Next, we have dropping grades. There's an article done labeled The Impact of Playing Violent Video Games Amongst School Children, and it states that nearly 63.2% of the boys that play violent video games have shown poor academic performances, as compared to only 33.3% of the women. Next, it can cause physical health problems. According to several studies, playing violent video games for long periods of time can lead to obesity, weakened strength in the muscles and joints. It can cause numbness in the hands and fingers, as well as affect your eyesight. And lastly, it can trigger your flight or fight response. There was an article titled The Influence of Violent and Nonviolent Computer Games and the implicit measures of aggressiveness. And in this article, the author explains that cortisol is an indicator of stress and the fight or flight responding. And both behavioral and psychological stressors have the ability to release throughout the body while playing violent video games. So, because of this, the cortisol produced throughout their whole body while playing could trigger their fight or flight response. Ways to reduce these behaviors, and this is coming from a mainly a parent to child situation, because a lot of children do play violent video games and parents don't really know how to handle that. So first, we set time limits. Limit playtime to avoid excessive exposure, especially for the younger players, and encourage breaks to prevent things like overstimulation or desensitization. Next, we have encourage diverse gameplay, and that is basically just to balance violent video games with non-violent ones or educational games, ones that promote creativity or cooperation or things like empathy. And then next, we have encourage offline social activities. This is just so we can foster real world social interaction, such as sports, clubs, family time, just anything to balance that screen based engagement that they have for long periods of time. Next, we have address underlying issues. This meaning if if a child or a player shows signs of aggression or distress, it's important to explore other contributing factors that might be causing that, such as bullying, stress, or things like mental health challenges. And last, we want to lead by example. Adults and older siblings who model healthy gaming habits and emotional control can strongly influence younger players or players who are just starting out. Over here. In conclusion, there is no scientific proof that violent video games alone can cause people to be more violent, but playing for too long or not playing responsibly can have negative effects on your mental and physical health. There's so many parents that don't monitor what video games their children are playing, but it is important that they do. As they grow older, there could be many behavioral issues that can come from the amount of violence they're seeing on a daily basis. Any adults playing video games with violence in it or children is encouraged to make sure they know what effects that they can have on them, and just to be a little more cautious. Violent video games and non-violent video games, they're all fun and they're made so you can play them. But at the end of the day, your mental and physical health is more important. If someone's playing violent video games to relieve stress or for very long periods of time that you've been noticing, you can reference my last slide and tell them to do any of those or to go touch grass. So, yeah, thank you for listening. And that is my slide. Thank you very much.